It is windy today, but sunny. So honestly, I'll be okay. Although I should have brought a hat, because when I go this way, my hair is just going to go fly back. Welcome to If the Spaghetti Sticks podcast. I am your host, Lauren Ruggiero, and my podcast is different because I walk and I talk about life and things and being in your 20s and stuff that I've noticed and stuff that I'm changing, fixing, growing from, all that fun stuff. Riveting, I know. Yeah, I have a ton of stuff to share this week. I first want to say, though, that yesterday I ran my first 5 miles straight. Okay, I always usually take breaks and stuff if I run 5 miles, but yesterday I was like, nah, I'm going to set a goal. It's going to be 5 miles and I got to do it. I got to complete it. And I did it. And I had a 9.20 pace, which isn't that bad. Some of my paces used to be 10, 17, around the 10-minute mark, but that 9 is awesome. So I feel like I'm starting to get into running. I recently bought new running shoes too, because I don't know what it is. I burn through sneakers. I have a new pair of walking shoes right now, because my other camp shoes just have holes in the soles of them. So, and they also are starting to hurt my shins when I walk. So I'm like, okay, it's time to switch the shoes. Granted, I don't have multiple pairs to switch in and out from, which is also something you're supposed to do. You're supposed to give your shoes a rest or whatever, a day. But I sometimes don't. Usually I just wear my hiking boots, but sometimes that hurts too. Anyways, yeah, so when I pick out my camp shoes or my everyday shoes, I always just go to the clearance section and I try a bunch of them on because yes, I do want them to be somewhat cool. I don't do neon colors or white because I know that, I'm going to be working in the camp setting for a couple more months, so I know that they're going to get trashed. So I always just get clearance shoes, but I always go for that comfort though, because I'm just very picky with my shoes. If they aren't comfortable, I just can't do it. I have to have comfortable shoes if I'm going to be walking long miles, if I'm going to be on my feet all the time. So yeah, comfortable shoes. But I'll tell you what though, so my new running shoes, I know you're going to laugh at this, but I got a pair of Skechers. Yeah, I got the Skechers Go Runs or whatever. They're all black. They're blacked out, And listen, I know Skechers a really interesting brand because everybody just makes fun of them. But I'm going to tell you something, okay? If you aren't buying On Clouds or Hoka's or any of the really expensive good brand shoes, a pair of Skechers for $66 is not bad. It even got that high arch support, which I need. And the wide shoes. So yeah, I bought a pair of Skechers, and I'm proud of it because those Skechers felt like I was running on pillows. Okay? You can make fun of my Skechers all you want, but I'll tell you what, Skechers are comfy. And you know what? Another thing, back in the day, Skechers used to be the shoe. I remember that was the thing. Skechers, I'll sketch in them all day. They're comfortable running shoes, and I'm gonna be honest, I fully support. But yeah, Skechers used to be the stuff back in the day. I used to go shopping. I'm like, yeah, I want a pair of Skechers. I think, at least that's what my brain is telling me. I don't know. Sometimes memory is really iffy. But anyways, yeah, so I got a pair of running shoes that were for cheap because I didn't want to spend money on some nice, fancy running shoes because money right now is no. So I saved on the On Clouds and the Hokas, and I got me a pair of blacked out Skechers. And I'll tell you what, they're still looking nice. They still look nice. They got a small Skechers logo, but it's still all right. It's still all right. So yeah, I'm just gonna give Skechers some love real quick because I feel like That brand is constantly made fun of, but they doing all right, especially for the comfort and the price that they at. Oh, I love it. Moving on from running and walking subjects, I had lip surgery this past week, and I had to get like a mucocil removed, and that's what they're called. The doctor said it was a mucocil, so it was a mucocil removal, which means they had to remove one of my salivary glands. I don't know, but basically what they did was I was awake the entire time. I could have paid extra money to be like put to sleep or whatever. I feel like I'm a dog. Yeah, they put me down. No, but they just gave me like numbing shots, a bunch of them, and they're like, "Oh, you're gonna feel a little pinch," and I'm like, "A little." Yeah, the first needle they put in my mouth was the one that bruised me real bad because it started like bleeding everywhere, the doctor said. So I was like, okay, great. And then he stuck me a bunch of different times, and my lip was about the size of a golf ball. And then he proceeded to cut my lip open and cut out the gland that was filling up with mucus and stuff. And then he put 2 stitches in, and then he sent me on my way. And of course, I hate having anything done to my mouth because that means I cannot brush my teeth properly and I cannot eat food properly. So it sucked for a little while. I also had trouble drinking liquids. I would spill a lot on my shirts. So yeah, it was a little tough this week, and I also had to work as well. But I did social media and filming and stuff. So I made whole like 2 different vlogs about it, which are kind of come out. But yeah, so it was quite interesting having lip surgery. And it wasn't, I mean, like the stitches came out. One of the stitches came out, it just untied. And it just kind of came out when I was like smiling or something. And then the other one came out in my food. It was quite gross. But yeah, now my lip is somewhat healed. It still has like a bruise and stuff on it. It still hurts when I say like my buzz and like my, like where my lips touch very violently sometimes. But yeah, so lip surgery was quite interesting. Recently, I'm going to start switching subjects around, so sorry. But recently, I started getting into street photography, and I don't know what it is, but it's just like satisfying. I like how natural it is. I like how not perfect it is. I like how you can just get random people doing random things, because I'm the type of person that like goes around and is like, oh, like I wonder what that person, had for breakfast, or I wonder what they do for work, or you wonder things about people. And I just really wonder about people, but when you take photos of them, you always remember them, and you always it makes that question linger a little bit longer, or you make up some, I don't know, fantasy about what they do for work and how they do different things, or, certain things like that. Also, side note, there are so many bees out right now, mainly because there's rosemary over where I'm walking. So that's awesome. It's also getting warmer and stuff. But yeah, anyways, so the bees are giving me a little fear, but that's okay. I'm going to still keep walking. But yeah, no, so street photography is something that I really want to get into. And I think when I go to San Francisco in the next coming of weeks, I don't know exactly when, but I'll be in San Francisco. I will probably do more street photography and try to, get some really cool photos. And then the photos that I do post, sometimes I post them on my Instagram, Adventures with Lauren, or sometimes I post them on my Patreon page, which is like you pay a certain monthly fee and then you get all access to my photo collections and stuff like that. So that's also Adventures with Lauren. So if you want to go check out the Patreon page, you can. Little self promo. But yeah, so I really like the idea of street photography and like that world and atmosphere, because like city stuff is just so cool. Like I watch Walkie Talkie on YouTube. Like this guy has a camera and just hangs out with photographers, like street photographers, and he follows them around, asks them a bunch of questions. And it's so interesting because most of them just, say because like there's just so much stuff going on in the city, and usually it's New York that they're doing it in, which totally makes sense. New York is one of the main street photography like hubs, basically, which is so cool. And I really wish to explore that a little bit more in the future. It's just, the everyday lives of people in that time period, and, looking back at them after the fact seems like a really cool thing, like archival footage from 2024 when you're like 80 or 90 years old, you know what I mean? Like, and then it'll be the olden days of the time, So I just think that that's really cool. Like, I'm always about getting, archival footage or getting stuff that I'll remember, because cameras help you remember a lot more than you think you do. Because, you say to yourself a lot, oh, I'm going to remember this moment forever. I'm going to, cherish it. And then, like, 2 years later, you forget until someone says something. You're like, whoa, I forgot I had that memory. So I think photos do a really good job of reminding us about those really nice memories in life. I mean, they're not videos, so they can't really bring you into that moment, but it could show you that moment, which is, still good. Like, I want video, but if it was nothing and a photo, I'd rather take the photo. Out of all the stuff that I've learned about the human brain so far right now, I mean, there's still so much more you can learn, but I've learned that, sometimes that your brain, depending on situations and scenarios that it goes through, like your brain can make up certain situations, or it can tell you did something and it's not quite accurate. So knowing these things and knowing these facts just makes me want to take pictures and videos all the time, because what better way to remember where and when you were doing, I don't know, skydiving or whatever, like, other than a video. Like, it just makes sense to me personally. I don't know about anyone else. Like, for an example, I took a photo of this guy, and we were outside of a pizza place. It was a meeting with a bunch of big heads from the place I work at. And this guy was just randomly listening in on a conversation. He had a dog, too. He was just eating pizza and listening to our conversation. He's like, yeah. And I took a photo of him. Like, I snuck a photo of him. And because he was just so cool. Like, I felt like he was the person that represented California. Like, he was like a true Californian. Like, he was just so cool. He had, the skater hat and flip-flops and shorts. Or no, he had jeans on. See, look, my memory's already tricking me. But yeah, he was crazy. And I wanted to remember that dude, because, I want to know what he does for work. I want to know, like, what kept him in California. I don't know. I wonder those things. Maybe it's the ADHD. I don't know. But I'll tell you what, though. It's quite fun also to like sneak a shot of somebody, because you never know how, people are going to react when you take photos of them, which is a thing I've experienced a lot, especially taking like videos and stuff for 7 years. I've had a couple people like come up to me like, yo, like, was I in that, like, whatever you just did? And I was like, no, even though they were. But anyways, yeah, so like, you never know how people are going to react, but like the adrenaline rush of like trying to get a photo of somebody, like, is just super cool. Okay, I'm done walking here. I'm getting attacked by bees, and I'm not liking this. I feel like street photography is definitely something that I want to do in the future, because it's just interesting to see what it was like back then, interesting to see what kind of clothes people wore, interesting to see what kind of people I ran into. a lot of good stuff. You know, I'm definitely I'm counting down the days. I have 61 full days left here in California before my next adventure, which 61 days is really short when you really think about it. Yeah, I'm just excited. I'm excited to do something after that. You know, it's that next thing. My girlfriend the other day told me, or she asked me, she goes, do you feel like, you know, you get stuck in these like loops of just like saying the same things over and over again and, you know, repeating yourself? And I tell her, I was like, I do when I'm in an environment and in a place where I did everything I could do and I'm like tired of it. That's when I get that feeling of, I feel like I'm just repeating myself, repeating my actions, faking my emotions, even like being happy, you know. So that's what I said, you know, it's totally true. Like, you know, when you're in this space where you've felt like you've done everything you can do in a certain area with the objects and subjects that you have, I think it's very well likely that you'll feel like that, where you can't really get out of that repeating headspace, where you just feel like you're on a merry-go-round and you can't really get off. Definitely been there before, and I definitely feel like that's happening, but I keep reminding myself, 61 days, I keep counting down. Because when you change your environment and when you change what you're doing, it flips that switch in your mind of like, okay, there's no routine anymore. You got to figure out your routine. You got to figure out, you know, these things and those things and how you're going to do this and how you're going to do that. So it challenges you. So I think that like when you're tired of being where you are, I think it's your brain telling you that you're out of the challenge. Like there's nothing challenging you anymore. And I think that's a really good point, because I feel like in life that I've experienced so far in my 22 years, that it's very well much like that. Like when you're in a place where you can't feel like you can do anymore because it's just the same stuff, you need a new challenge. You need to challenge yourself to do something more. And I, you know, of course, do those challenges in ways of like, I gotta run 5 miles, or I'll finish so many books by the time the month ends, or just a bunch of different things. I think challenges is what we as humans love to do and love to complete. I mean, you know, I love to complete challenges. I think challenges are something that you need all the time, every day. Just because that's that growing part of you, right? That's that person inside of you that wants just a little bit more, just to learn a little extra, just to do those things. If we're getting into the deeper talk, another feeling that I've witnessed this week was that I was homesick. But the thing is that I don't have a home anymore. Like, it's like I don't have a home. I mean, I have a place where I grew up and everything, but my stuff isn't there. And my stuff is here, sure, but like, this is not my home. This is work. And when you live at your work, you become consumed with everything about work. And that's when like a whole bunch of drama starts and happens, because everything's at work. It's just the whole cycle. But so I was feeling this, and I told my girlfriend this. I said, you know, do you ever feel like you're homesick but you don't have a home? You know? And she kind of told me, she said, yeah, like, you know, sometimes. And I think it's because like I don't have a place yet to actually call my own. I don't think it's a place, like I don't have a place where I can put my things and I know I'll be safe and I can go travel and do this and that and whatever else. Like I don't have that place where I can do that or do those things, because everything is up in the air, right? And that also is something that like kind of bothers me, is that like everything's kind of iffy, you know, like your things are half in the building that you choose to live and they're also half in your car, right? So it's just like, if something happens, you know, you don't got that insurance, all your stuff burns, you know, it's that whole thing of like, it's iffy, it doesn't feel secure, there's other people living there. I don't like that because I don't trust people. It's just that whole thing of like, I don't feel secure at where I'm at. I think that's more the way I was trying to go with it, is that like, I don't feel secure or safe in the place that I now reside in. So I think, you know, getting a place that is my own, like an apartment or a townhouse somewhere, I think it would be a lot better for that, because then I could finally feel safe, you know, in an environment where I can just be free and do what I want to do, what I need to do, what I'd like to do. So I think I'm missing that safe space here. And I think that's what's been bothering me most days, is that like, I don't feel safe, you know? And I guess it's not really, you know, I signed up to do this, right? Because my other needs of not being challenged weren't met. So I felt as though not being safe is a little on the back burner, and I could, you know, choose to not be safe for a little while I go do this job and explore something new and grow a whole new mindset, which is exactly what I did. And I don't regret it at all. But now I want to have that safety aspect and also a new challenge. And I think I can have that, and money helps with that for sure. And I think I can have that after this summer. But, you know, it's really interesting because sometimes when you look at yourself in a certain environment and you're like really like frustrated all the time and really crabby and everything like that, you're just, you know, on the cusp, and you're like, man, like, why am I acting this way? Like, what is going on? And sometimes you just kind of need to think. And you need to ask yourself really deep personal questions. Really uncomfortable, you know, get really uncomfortable with yourself. And I've finally come to the conclusion that I just don't feel safe here. I know, right? I don't feel safe in California. What? That's unheard of. Yeah, it's just the place that I'm at, like the work that I'm at. It's just, you know, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable. I'm not around people that challenge my mentality. I'm not around people that inspire my creativity, you know. So like, again, all of that stuff, I'm also missing that community aspect, you know. And I've been missing that community aspect of, you know, friends or, you know, people who do some of the stuff that I do, you know. And I do a lot of things, and I have found like nobody that does the same things that I do. So it's just like really frustrating because I do so many hobbies, and it's just like, like, it's just like the people who are interested in marine biology, scuba diving, surfing, gardening, and like sun tanning, and that's it. Like, there's only so much I can do with that, you know. I can be there to a certain extent, but, you know, after that, I can't. So all these things kind of influence where you go and like how you feel, I guess, in your scenario, in your situation. And it's really kind of funny to think about all these things because, you know, it influences the way you feel and how you act, and it's just crazy how everything has an influence on your behavior and how good or bad you feel. Speaking of good or bad, I will tell you, so being at camp a lot, right? I've had a lot of camp food. Camp food is fine only when you're doing it for like maybe 1 or 2 months. But when you're living it for like 7 months, camp food starts to get really boring. And it also becomes really calorie full because they're making everything in bulk. You know, the eggs making that powdery stuff. It's not real eggs, you know, so everything comes in bulk. Like, there's so much oil that goes into it. Like, especially the food, like where I'm at, there's just so much oil, so much like stuff that you don't even see or taste, but you could definitely feel it. My skin breaks out sometimes, so it's really annoying, honestly speaking. So what I've done this week to take care of all the oil stuff, you know, I can also feel it though in my body. Like, I get very sluggish, especially around dinner, because usually dinner is always carbs of some sort, and it's just not good. So I feel really sluggish. I feel slow. When I'm walking places, I don't feel good. So I'm like, okay, this makes sense. It's the food. It's got to be the food, right? Because I'm like, okay, like, you know, my mindset also can, you know, pitch into those things, but it's just like, it's also the fuel that you're putting in your body. So what I did to combat that was I bought all of my groceries for this week, and I will be eating no meals except for the salad that they offer, which are literally just leaves and vegetables. So I bought everything. I bought sandwich stuff. I couldn't buy protein powder because they didn't have what I wanted at the store, so I didn't get that. But I got like cans and cans of tuna. I got some like protein wraps. I went out and I bought food for this week because I was like, no, I'm not putting that oily stuff in my body anymore. First off, no. Second off, if I ever want to surpass the 5-mile running challenge that I'm putting myself in for, it's not going to work. You know, that food is just going to weigh me down. So, you know, I'm trying to be like as fit as ever. I'm trying to like really be right, you know, because it's inspiring. Like, I'm reading these people's stories and these books, and it's like, yeah, they're life-changing and their bodies are like amazing, and I'm like, I totally want that. And it's like a bunch of stuff about, you know, sacrificing some stuff, but also being healthier about some of the stuff that you're choosing. And over the past like 7 months, I have not been like looking at any of the calorie packaging stuff. I've just been kind of going in it, right? So I'm definitely looking at, you know, the nutrition labels now for sure. You know, I'm going back to my ways. I'm not going to count the calories, but I'm going to definitely like measure out some things. Like portion sizes are definitely like a huge contributor. It's not necessarily the calories, it's just the portion sizes, right? We eat too much of it. So I'm definitely watching that. And I'm definitely getting that the good stuff in. Buying vegetables, trying to get that fruit in, you know. So it's, you know, it's a lot, you know. It's also not expensive to do something like this, but I feel like I just have to. Like, my body just needs healthy food. Like, I just can't do so much oil and stuff anymore. Like, I just physically can't do it. My body will start rejecting. So for those of you guys who don't know, my diet style is like a pescatarian, dairy-free person, I guess. So I eat fish, but I don't eat dairy because that hurts my stomach, and I haven't eaten it in so long that if I do eat a lot of dairy, I'm in for a rude awakening. My stomach will hurt beyond belief, and I will be sitting on the toilet for quite a while. So, and I've done those things by choice too, I think. Like, dairy never used to bother me, and red meat and chicken never bothered me at all. But I'll tell you what, though, I had a class in college. It was like all the stuff in your food, some food nutrition kind of class. I forget the name of it, but basically they showed us this video, this movie about red meats and how bad it was for you and everything. So like ever since then, I just stopped eating red meat of any sort. I don't really miss it either, because literally it just tastes like you're chewing on like iron, and I don't know, I just don't miss it. I never really was into the whole cheeseburger type thing. I don't miss that. And I've started, watching these documentaries about veganism and like the actual health science that is going into the foods that we eat and the processed foods and what meat actually does to you, and also how bad it is for the planet. How overproducing animals we are doing in these farms, and like the waste. It's just like a whole thing. So it's just like, not only is it bad for the planet, but it's also bad for your body. Like, most people are like, oh, they swear by meat, right? But it's just really bad for your body. It's really harsh on your stomach. And there's a documentary on Netflix. It's like a twin documentary where one of the twins eats meat for like a week or a month or something, and then the other one goes vegan. And you could tell the difference between them. And they're gonna live longer, and like all these different stuff. Their aging is reversing. So it's like all this stuff is going into the research of like veganism and eating healthier in terms of even the meats, not even just the processed foods. I tell you what though, the fish, I have to go to the fish because salmon's so good. Tuna is good. It's just that protein, right? You get like 21 grams of protein and like no fat. That's the best part. So I'm still gonna eat fish. Even though it is bad for like the oceans or whatever, that's okay. The real problem is like the meat and the beef and the land animals, and not even talking about the whole processed food stuff, like the whole bag food, candies. Skittles are so bad for you. The red 40s and everything. Like, you know what? I'll tell you what. I was so mad. I was at the grocery store today, and I went down the Oreo section because I wanted some Oreos. And I picked up the cake batter Oreos because cake batter and stuff is like my favorite flavor. I looked at the back of the patch and red 40. I'm like, dang. It's like a cancer causing thing. It's banned in other countries because it's like so bad. But man, I'll tell you, that just makes me mad. Like, why do you got to put that stuff in there? Come on, America. It's time for me to end this podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it, learned a little something, and like hearing my rants and my life stories and talking about stuff and my personal experiences. If you have a chance, go check out my Patreon page and support what I do in these podcasts. I really would appreciate that. And, I'm just 22, throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing if it sticks. I'm Lauren Rogero. Thank you for coming. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.